So what is the objective of this discussion is we actually want to showcase what the work your company is doing among the industry, and we can showcase the same among the users and the customers, right? So I tell you a little background how Econaur is started and what is the core objective. So I'm a green building consultant working in this industry from last 8 years. Along with me in our company is our two co-founders, Mr. Digvijay Singh and Mr. Tapan Vasu Roy. Tapan Vasu Roy is a leading industrialist, HVAC consultant and HVAC manufacturer. He is the manufacturer of air distribution products. So along with that, we were working together and we started this company called as Prakriti Sustainable Building Services Private Limited. And Econaur is a brand. So we are a green building consultancy company, and Econaur is a brand which is showcasing the solutions for green building. So I was working as an assistant project officer at Haryana Renewable Development Agency. Might be heard about HAREDA. So I was working there, and we were working together on various of the green building projects also. So I got that idea that there are no resources available for the people. Yes, Greha IGBC is working all together on green building movement, but still, if we talk about the energy conservation building code, there are other codes still 13, 14 years are there, but still it is not implemented. So there's a tough road to go ahead in the green building industry. So we have started this platform, and from the last 3 years,
Very true.
so last 3 years we have started, and we have served more than 3,000 projects. So a lot of people are coming to us every day for their solution. Not our objective is not only to make a green building, but to provide them a solution for a specific problem, such as if they want related to a solution related to water, related to energy efficiency, related to waste management. We are there for every help as possible we can provide them. So this is the objective of Econaur that we have started on, and that is love to have you on board with us. And definitely we are coming up with some new initiatives. We will notify you time to time, right? So next month we are coming up with some
Okay, great.
green courses also. So we are coming up with Eco Coach, that is providing some green building courses as well, right? So if you want to
Right, right.
contribute in any of the courses related to roofing, roof designing or anything, we can have a discussion, separate discussion on that. So Mr. Roy, so I would like to start from you now. That can you tell us about your
Yes.
sustainable journey?
Okay. So we are as in Reliable Insupacks Private Limited. We are basically an expanded polystyrene manufacturer. That's how we started in 1995. And expanded polystyrene, as you know, is used both in packaging as well as in insulation. So we were doing a lot of cold storages and things like that, where this is I'm talking about a period before 2011-12. So
Right.
we were doing all that, and but naturally we were not into either in sustainability or thinking in terms of insulation, thermal comfort, and all those things. It was just a product that we were making and supplying to whoever wanted it. Now, it was in 2012 we started thinking in terms of thermal insulation, thermal comfort, and because some cold storages were having certain moisture condensation problem. So because of that, we started looking at these aspects, and in the process, we started meeting some clients. Clearly that in 2012, I met, we had gone for a meeting for JP Group, who we had supplied a lot of thermal insulation material through one of our insulation, because it was insulation contractors and dealers who would ask for the material and take it from us. So
Right.
it was quite a reputed kind of a thermal insulation thermal insulation contractor of very high repute, who had supplied the material there, and we had gone for a general kind with the chief architect. So while talking to him, I found out that their specification was at a much higher level. 40 kgs per cubic meter density is what they had specified, and what we had supplied was 24 kgs per cubic meter. So basically, that is the point. Then it was revealed to me that there is a lot of gap between what the customer is expecting and through the various channels, the product that is reaching them. And that is when I realized the importance of branding in thermal insulation, because it is more or less, it used to be a commodity kind of a market.
Right.
Did not have, which was not customer driven. It was rather it was customer driven in the sense whatever the customer would ask, would supply. There was no kind of thought process or product specifications that as a manufacturer or as a seller we were keeping. So when we started thinking in terms of branding and a brand awareness in a commoditized product like polystyrene sheets, that is when we started looking at insulation as a product category, as we knew that worldwide, what was happening, worldwide requirement of standard polystyrene in insulation, which was 80%, and only 20% of the material was getting used in packaging. Whereas it was exactly the reverse in India, where 80% of the material that was being consumed was being used for packaging, and it's only 20% or very, very small component which was being used in insulation, because there was no concept of insulation. It was only like cold storages or some low temperature projects where they could not sustain it without insulation.
Right. So that's a fantastic. Yeah.
That was the period when we started thinking in terms of insulation, and in the meanwhile, we developed a product which is called Cool Tile. It was a interlocking roof insulation tiles, which were made of the same standard polystyrene, but it was of the right density at which they will, and it was standard in terms of the densities and the monolithic. It was like a monolithic thermal insulation material with interlocking on all edges. So we started trying to sell. But what we found was that market was extremely price sensitive, because we were still approaching the market as a manufacturer trying to sell to the the channels that are established. And the established channels that were there were extremely, like, they were like, I would say, cheating the client sort of. That was the established network of Chabdi Bazaar and place like that. Those were trade channels which were more interested in their profit margin and the kind of scope that is there in different thermal insulation material. They would like to go for the cheapest possible. And there was no identity in terms of long-term commitments.
Right.
It was then that we started building up our reliable building solutions as a brand, because now we thought that we should come into we could see that the opportunities were quite huge in terms of what was happening internationally, both in the Middle East as well as internationally, of course. And Europe, gold countries, there were norms, established norms. Even Middle East started having established norms in terms of thermal insulation value that is required in the building. Whereas India did not have any norms at that point of time. Okay, the building code was mentioning something, but as you know that even with ECBC, as you were rightly saying, it is not also, that also does not get implemented realistically.
Right. So I want to ask in that, what are the challenges, as you have already mentioned, that developed countries are already using and implementing these technologies, and it's very disheartening to see that even people are not aware about the insulation only when they are reaching out to these products, only when there is a high requirement, like in cold storage, there is a high requirement of this. Then, so what are the challenges other than this you have experienced, you want to share with us?
Yeah. So see, that space has started changing. 2012, I was talking about, and by 2014, we had our approvals from BMTPC for this roof insulation product cool tile. By 2017,
Right.
already into the space of insulated concrete formwork, which was our next product in terms of it was a fully insulated building creation. The market started changing after the implementation of ECBC. I would not, there was some gaps were there. People were still trying to, because people did not, the contractors would not understand the insulation material. What exactly is an insulation material? So many of these products, because I remember like in 2017, there was a tender made for insulated concrete formwork because it was they were trying to build a green building with very high energy efficiency.
Right.
But the person who picked up the tender did not understand what exactly this insulation material is. So he came to understand from us. But finally, because he had not bid he had bid for it in a normal conventional sense. So finally, the tender could not come through. So these were the problems we were facing, that because basically the ecosystem did not even understand what thermal insulation is and how it can help them. It was only, I would say, after 2018, that is Global Housing Technology Challenge was Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. It was so through that challenge, a lot of new construction systems could enter the domain, and PWD also started looking at them seriously. And it was by 2021, I think, that final in terms of actual acceptance by CP through a notification that all future constructions will be using new technologies.
That's great.
So I would say that now the space is ready for thermal insulation and thermal comfort as well.
Right.
And a lot of new technologies are being implemented all over India. And in the meanwhile, what has happened is commercially also it has started making sense.
Right. So similarly, net zero buildings can be used, and net zero buildings are now widely being used in India also. That every year, PE and the various government agencies are setting a target of 100 buildings, then 200 buildings, then 500 buildings they are planning on. So it's great. In upcoming 5 years, we can see, yes, there is a very good picture of sustainable buildings in India, right? So there you can also contribute in that.
Very,
right.
Very true.
So, do you want to highlight any specialty of your product? As you have mentioned that you have invented cool tiles and some thermal insulation products also. Any specialty or anything you want to highlight?
Three range of products. In fact, see, first is of course, as I said, with roof insulation, because that was the most widely, or rather, I should say, most economical for the clients to implement. It was a thermal insulation layer, which I said was cool tiles. But the biggest product that we implemented subsequent to that is something called insulated concrete formwork. Now, all this product, of course, is supposed to be the Mercedes of construction industry, as against the, say, Maruti 800 of the normal conventional system of buildings. This is, I don't know, you must be aware of something called Maiwan and Doka, aluminum formwork concrete building system.
Right. Yes.
Where the building load of the roof is carried by the walls instead of by the frame system.
Right.
Is the columns and so insulated concrete formwork is an upgraded version of the same thing, because there in Maiwan and Doka, you need a huge investment to be made in terms of the form. So say 5 crores or 7 crore rupees worth of investment you have to make, and it has to have a certain number of repeats to become viable. Second problem there is that since it's a concrete building, without either you go for an extra cladding material layer, or else what happens is these buildings that are now coming up are very thermally uncomfortable to live in. And a lot of these projects which came up through PM Awas Yojana, the the BPL people who were allotted these houses are using it as grounds or cow shed because it's very uncomfortable to live in those buildings.
Right.
CF as against that is first it doesn't have it's a modular system, interlocking system made up of just like Lego blocks, you can say. And these Lego blocks come together, interlocking on all edges.
Right.
Hollow Lego blocks. You can think in terms of hollow Lego blocks made of insulated panels. They come together on all edges with
Right.
6 different kinds of blocks for making the
Right.
wall endings, the windows, doors. So you ultimately get
Right.
a totally thermal bridge free, fully insulated building out of it, practically a zero energy building just at the cost of conventional construction
Right.
system. So
Right.
you can pour concrete at the level of top, so you get a very good monolithic
Right. So,
monolithic concrete building
right.
joined on the strong,
Right. So do
disaster
you
proof, fireproof,
do you want to highlight
very well.
anything related to your project, that how much energy savings you have contributed in any of your projects by implementing the ICF or any of the technology you want to highlight, that what is the what do you say, the result which you got by this using this
Yeah,
technology?
see, the thing is, it's a very detailed discussion. I don't think an interview can really do justice to it, but we can share presentations with you and put them on our website, Econaur site as well. It can
Right.
save up to 90%. Practically, other than ventilation, you do not need any kind of air conditioning. Just for ventilation, the most so 90% energy saving. The capacity that we recommend is 25% of the normal
Right.
capacity any building will recommend. Say if 20 tons air conditioning requirement is there, say 100 cubic foot or something like that, 100 square feet building room would have 1 ton air conditioning. So if it's a 2000 square feet hall, so maybe a 20-ton air conditioning is required. As against that, we would recommend only 5 tons of air conditioning, and practically it will run only 10, and that too for ventilation.
Yeah, what are the current accomplishments so far from your side?
Yeah,
Anything you want to mention?
a
Anything
lot.
or yes,
We have done almost 7 buildings, a variety of buildings from a farmhouse in Thiog, Shimla, to a factory building in Greater Noida, residential.
right.
All these things we have done, and right now we are doing a big government project in Bhopal for a sports hostel.
Okay.
So
This,
with ICF using this
this ICF technology, right?
technology.
So surely you can share the projects or anything you want to mention in your PPT as well, so we can highlight that, right?
Yeah, sure. And the third product that we are doing, which is a spin-off from this ICF building, ICF projects that we started. A building is made up of so many components. There are so many other features that have to be incorporated. Like started ICF, there was there's this plaster, polymerized plaster, which is required to plaster the outside, because after all EPS, it is made of
Yes.
an ICF is made of EPS. So as a cladding, you have to give it, in case you are not giving any either cement board cladding or something like that, which can be very easily clad onto these with directly screwed
Right.
wall. Other than that, the option was to go in for polymerized plaster,
Okay.
because simple plaster will not stick. Normal cement sand plaster will not stick onto the top. So we had to develop uh, that as well in India. Then the thing is, because these are very straight buildings, so any because they are made of modular made. So now, being very straight, the corners and edges had to be straight, very straight, for the appeal. So for that, we needed to develop some corner bead systems. So all these ecosystem, we developed slowly, and out of that came a product which is now one of our biggest selling product. It's called external insulation and finishing system. It is basically a wall insulation product, and this is the third product that I was talking about, which at the moment is our largest selling product.
Okay.
All
Yes.
these, if you know, all these hospitals, and that came up during COVID with light gauge steel fabrications and fiber cement boards. I think some of your
Right.
products are those fiber cement board products you have on Econaur as well.
Right.
From
Right.
it, I think I saw.
Yes.
So now this buildings, for example, they are doing these huge buildings in India International Convention Center, Delhi, Dwarka. Now,
Right.
where they are using cement board panels for wall. So the cement board has a tendency to crack when
Yes.
exposed to sun because of
Yes.
thermal fatigue, thermal stress.
Right.
So that's why it got specified that you should have a layer of insulation on top of this with cementing coating.
Cement
So
coating.
that is called external insulation and finishing system, which we had anyway developed for the ICF buildings that we were doing. So that product also got established, and now we have a lot of from these various hospitals and government buildings where LGSF is being used.
Right. So that's wonderful that you have implemented using the various climatic zones and the requirements. As you have already mentioned about your products, how it is differentiating. So at the end, any last point you want to mention in that how your product is better than the existing current products that are used in the buildings? Because yes, you are implementing the insulation. Insulation uh, is appropriate definitely for energy efficiency, but for the current products that we people are using ASC blocks and others, how you compare it?
No, this is a
Yes, yes, please.
of difference, means 1 to 20 sort of level, because our R value thermal, just the insulation thermal conductivity part I'm talking about, our ICF buildings have a thermal R value of 19,
Right,
and as against that AAC block would have R2. Okay, so then AAC block has a big problem of moisture absorption
right, right,
and cracks. So maintenance in the long run.
right.
Our ICF buildings are thermally fully stable, 3 hours fire rating, and means basically they are so airtight that there is no leakage of air to those, no thermal bridging. So this is basically like, there is no comparison, frankly.
That's great. So I understand there is a difference between the R value and other things is there.
So
That is why your product is better and it is sustainable. So very thanks for your support in this industry. So at the end, I would like to ask the question is, what is your point about the green building and the sustainable industry in India, and the growth of this industry in in the upcoming 5 years? Yes, definitely, the certification agencies play a major role in making the green buildings. But what do you think? Are people are also now aware about this technology, about this their requirement? As previously people were not aware. But what's your point in that about this sustainability industry in India in the upcoming time?
ultimately, sustainability has to be sustained. Sustainability has to be sustained by the commercial viability of it. See, the law and the regulations, if implemented, help, but ultimately, in case, until and unless it is commercially,
Hmm.
to implement the green building code or ECBC norms, I don't think it will take off in a big way. So commercial viability has to be there. People have to, these days, no buildings are air conditioning. So air conditioning, the energy costs are anyway going very high. So without proper implementation of all the ECBC norms, so that you have a certain amount of thermal insulation in the without the air leakage, all those aspects have to be slowly, sort of people have to become more and more aware of it. Right now, the market is there. Already there are a lot of people who are supplying all these products. But many at times what happens is the architects or the recommending agencies are also not really aware about all these.
Right.
So slowly, I think the awareness is going to grow, and as it grows, and since it is becoming commercially viable, because I can see even in ICF, I am doing in a place like Dhanbad, which is practically not even a metropolitan city, and just on the basis of energy efficiency and strength, the monolithic strength that it has, and the speed of construction. So these become more important. Basically, the products have to start making their own space
Right.
and becoming commercially viable.
Proper dedicated solution need to be provided, and many myth was going on that sustainable buildings are costly, but it is not.
Yes.
Some buildings are seriously commercial viable as well. People are more focused on the certification part, but rather than the solution should be focused, which we are also focusing on. And yes, as you have already mentioned, that
Certification part also is not all that important.
right, yes,
I would say that certification is important for government buildings where say a floor area ratio, all those buildings are going to be available.
right. Yes. So people will not only focus on the certification side, they focus on the problem and the solution which is right.
Yes.
Right. So I think this was a nice discussion. We have covered all the questions that we. So anything you want to mention from your side? Anything you want to add at the end?
Yeah. I would say that Econaur, or there are a lot of these green building websites coming up.
Right.
Pe- People have to become more aware. Actually, awareness is lacking. Initially said, people have a general impression that sustainability is expensive, and we are not going to invest in that sustainability thing. So slowly, awareness has to go up, and more, as more and more architects and like websites like Econaur and this awareness into the ecosystem, I think people are anyway ready to spend, if they are ready to spend so hugely on interiors and everything, even sustainability will come into play.
Right. So I was just showing about we have a blog also. So Econaur has created a dedicated blogging platform that
Yeah,
is
okay.
the prakatistory.com, where we highlight the solutions that how you can make your building related to building envelope to energy efficiency to organic. So we have also would like to tell you that we have highlighted about the insulated concrete forms, that how it is done, how your company is doing on, and what is the improvement so far, right? So why
Sure.
ICF we have mentioned about it. So our objective is same, that we want to highlight, aware, and educate the people about the various technology, and we are getting a very good response related to various of the domains, and that is what we exactly want. And definitely we will highlight more of your work because you're doing a very good work. People are not well much aware about this technology, right? So thank you, Mr. Roy, for
Sure.
giving our time with us, and we
Thanks.
will surely work together on the basis of making the sustainable buildings, right?
Right. Thank you. Best of luck for that.
Thank you, thank you. For any of the support, our team is available at any time. We are available.
Yeah,
Nikhil is
definitely.
available. Right.
Sure,
So
sure.
we have recorded the session, and it was a great session. So Nikhil was on leave; he is sick, but still he has joined it. So Nikhil, you want to say anything?
Yeah, yeah, he was not well.
Yeah, Nikhil. Nikhil just went away. So totally fine. Thank you, Mr. Roy. We'll share the update with you about the discussion as well. Right? Okay.
Okay.
You can
Bye, bye, bye.
leave the call. Thank you.